Hi guys, I have to get ready for something today, so I thought, why not film my makeup routine? Because a couple people have asked for it. I'm not gonna say everybody's been asking for it, but I have my red wine, so let's get started. This random story that I thought of today while I was driving, I wanted to post a TikTok about it, but I didn't really know exactly how to. But I thought, like, what the hell? When I thought about it, I was like, wait, that is crazy. I'm gonna prep my skin first. I use glycolic acid at night when I'm getting ready because I don't know, it just really, I love glycolic acid. I know you're not really supposed to use it during the day because it makes your skin sensitive to the sun. So at night when I'm doing my makeup, this is what I put on to do my skin prep. And then I'll do a niacinamide and then a moisturizer, and that's my skin prep. But I was thinking of this story that when I was in college, so I went to college in South Florida, like an hour-ish away from Miami. And I think it was my freshman or sophomore year of college. Me and my friends really wanted to go to Miami for the night because it was my friend's birthday. And so we decided that we were going to. My friend was really very wealthy, okay? Not her, but her family, obviously. So we basically could do anything because she had her dad's credit card, which I wish. We went to Miami, we rented a hotel, we went to a really nice dinner, and then we went back to our hotel and we took a little nap until about, because in Miami, you don't go out till like midnight. And then we went out in Miami that night and we probably stayed out till 8 a.m. I think we went to Space, just the typical Miami night, okay? We were underage, so we had to have a promoter help us get into the clubs. We thought this promoter was really nice. Like, we obviously didn't know him, but he was like really nice. He had a fiance, so we felt like safer because, you know, he had a fiance. So obviously he wasn't gonna like try to be weird with us. Okay. Then a couple months later, we find out this man got arrested because he held his fiancée hostage, and started clipping her fingernails off, like torturing her. And I thought that was the most wild thing because we met him and we met his fiance, like right after they had gotten engaged. We were at the club and she was showing us her ring. She was really pretty. We were like, oh my God, you're everything. And your ring, it was huge. It was a huge rock. And we were like, wow, that's like, love that for them. And then a few months later, we find out he's holding her hostage and torturing her. And he goes to jail for it. So yeah, not everything is as it seems, obviously, because that was like literally the craziest thing I've ever heard of. But I just randomly thought of that story. I just totally blocked that out in my memory for so long. And I randomly thought of it today and I was like, that's fucking wild behavior, especially because the fact that we were in cahoots with this man, like we were talking to this man to help us get into clubs and we were hanging out with him, like he was taking us around town. Also kind of weird that we were like 18 and he was doing all of this, and he was definitely like 30, but you know, I didn't notice that was a red flag at the time because I just wanted to be let into the Miami clubs. I use this e.l.f. Stay Cool primer stick, or I really like the grippy primer that e.l.f. has, but this is what I have right now, so this is what I'm using. I'm not very much of an over consumer, so I don't really buy like a lot of makeup. So I never have multiple products at once. I usually just have like one of everything that I need, and then I use it until it's gone. I really need to pluck my eyebrows, and I have this chin hair that I really need to pluck. So it's like I found my tweezers. I'm going to pluck my eyebrows and this chin hair. Sometimes I just get really thick chin hairs. Like it was blonde, but and then I always pluck my mole hairs too. I know that's crazy lore to open up with in the beginning of the video, and it's also not lore because it's that girl's trauma and I feel so bad. I'm thinking, why not do my truth or drink in this episode, in this video, not episode, we're not filming the podcast, as well, because I'm drinking and I'm not going to have anything to talk about while I'm doing my makeup, so might as well. Low-key, I think I'm probably going to drink anyways because I'm going to be answering probably all these questions. I feel like I don't really have anything to be secretive about other than like other people's lives. I'll pretty much say anything about myself. I use the 16-hour camo concealer. This is the shade light beige and it's e.l.f. Kind of have to blend it out quickly because it dries really fast, which is not my favorite about the product. And the first question is, do you want kids? And yes, I do want kids. I'm not sure how many kids I want yet because I don't know how my body's going to react to having kids. Only time will tell. Pretty much for every step I use this brush because I just love this brush. It's the Dibs Duo brush, and this is like the cream side and this is the powder side. I'm going to do my eyebrows next because my eyebrows get a little red when I do them and I like for them to calm down by the end of doing my makeup. I use this e.l.f. Pretty much everything I use is e.l.f. but I use the Ultra Precise Brow Pencil and this color is a little bit warm for my eyebrows, but whatever. Pretty much just fill in, obviously. Like, I don't really change anything because I don't have that much eyebrows. I've been binging Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. And why do I want to be them? Why do I want to be one of them, even though they literally have so much drama that it's actually wild. I kind of fill my eyebrows in like crazy and then I just brush the shit out of them to make it look more natural. The next question says, what's your favorite memory? I know, low-key a hard question. I just love looking back and thinking about my favorite days. And I don't want to be someone that like lives in high school and like peaked in high school or anything, but definitely the day we graduated, my friend had a huge party with pretty much everyone in our senior class that was close. And it was actually the most fun night ever. We all went to his house and we obviously got drunk and danced in his basement until like 5 a.m. and everyone stayed there. And there was just so much stuff that happened too. Like people were hooking up in the bushes and stuff. It was actually crazy. I think his parents, the guy that had the party's parents, found him hooking up with someone in the bushes at like 1 a.m. or something. I don't know. I changed because if I don't self-tan at least a little bit up here, my foundation will not match my face. I probably shouldn't rub it in with this brush, but you know what? But yeah, that night was so fun. I just remember me and my best friends were all there. We were having so much fun. And I felt like it was a way for all of us to say bye to each other because we obviously had just graduated and a lot of us were moving away for college. And like that was one of the last times I saw a lot of people from my grade that I was like acquaintances with, not best friends with. Kind of scared of myself for doing that. And the makeup looks so crazy when I'm like doing it for the first time, but it doesn't look that crazy once I'm done. Like it looks pretty good once I'm done because this is super orange and it's like very shocking at first. But then once I get all the other colors, contour and concealer on, it just looks so much better. Someone asked what my dream state to live in is, and I would definitely say Massachusetts. I really want to move there someday, and I think we probably will end up moving there someday. I just feel like there's so many cities there with so much charm, and I love a good charming house, charming city. And some of Jack's family lives there too, so I feel like it would be a good, easy way to transition, moving away from like people that we know and being able to have other people. Also, a couple of my friends live in Boston, and I would probably want to live like outside of Boston, not in Boston. Jack's grandpa lives in the cutest city, and I'm obsessed with it. I completely forgot to tell you guys that I used this e.l.f. Soft Glam Satin Foundation, medium buildable coverage, okay? It's really orange at first, and it's really scary looking, but once I put everything else on, it looks really good, especially when I have this tan. Not really sure what outfit I'm gonna wear that's gonna be able to like hide the fact that the rest of my body is not at all tan, but I'll figure it out. Probably gonna need to fix my eyebrows a couple times because I'm rubbing it off. My next step is the Sashu lip liner stain, and this is the shade Mauve. This is the only shade I've ever used, and this is my favorite. And I just let that dry while I do the rest of my makeup. I go back in with my concealer, okay? This is a very important step because it's gonna help the foundation look a little less crazy. This question says, what's your most unpopular opinion? And I was trying to think of it. I was gonna maybe drink because I don't know. I can't think of unpopular opinions that I have, but I did think of one. And I'm not like a hater, but I don't like Taylor Swift. Like I don't not like her. I just don't listen to her music. I'm not like a crazy fan. And I know that's extremely unpopular because everyone loves her. I used to love her when I was little. Like, as long as the land was green doors, that was my fucking favorite song ever. When I was in like 4th grade, me and my best friend at the time literally made up a performance to show our parents. So, all right, that's all blended out. I'm going to go in with the e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand Contour, and I'm going to contour my face a little bit. I usually just put it on the cheek, forehead, and then I like to do a little button nose contour because I actually really like my nose, but I like to accentuate the tip a little bit. And of course, I'm blending it out with my Dibs brush. I try to just pat it in because I don't really like rubbing it all around. I feel like patting it just makes it look a lot better. And then I try to blend out my nose with my finger as much as I can and finish it off with a brush because I can never fully blend it out with my finger. I feel like my face already looks better now that I put the concealer and contour on. Every time I peel this off, it never comes off in one go. The next question says, have you ever skipped an advice question because you did not want to give them advice / didn't agree with them? And I don't think I actually ever have. There are some where I find it a little bit harder to give advice, so I'll have to think about it for a little bit. For the most part, I don't think that I've ever skipped anyone's. Obviously, there are some that I don't get to and that I don't get to answer. While I have the contour out, I'm going to put a little bit on my eyelids just to give myself a nice little bronzy eye. The next question is, when do you want to get engaged? See, that's a hard one. I feel like, because I obviously know that I'm going to be with my boyfriend forever, but the only thing is I just don't see a need to rush. So I always am like, I feel like if we get engaged, we can just have a long engagement. Like, it's whatever. But my boyfriend thinks that we should get engaged and then get married like a year later. So I'm probably gonna say, I don't really have like an exact timeline. As I've gotten older, I've realized that I need to stop having timelines for myself because I never end up wanting to be where I thought I was gonna want to be when I was younger, if that makes sense. When I was younger, I thought that by the time I was 23, I was gonna have a kid. That could not be further from what I want right now, you know? I am not gonna want to have a kid probably till I'm like 31. And even then, I don't even know. I don't even know how I'm gonna feel. So I'll probably say 28 or 29. Because my boyfriend is 3 years younger than me. But you know, no pressure. As you can see, I'm doing all of my liquids first, and then I'll do all of my powders. I use this cheek stain from Sashu Beauty. I love it so much. It's such a cute pink. Someone asked if I've ever gone skinny dipping, and I've been skinny dipping more times than I can count. Honestly, like, me and my friends would always go skinny dipping when we're drunk. In high school, in college, I went skinny dipping. The first time me and Jack ever hung out, we went skinny dipping, which is crazy. We met each other, and then like 2 weeks later, we finally hung out because I was going through my breakup at the time, and I was just like, you know, trying to figure all that stuff out because I had just broken up with my boyfriend, and I don't know, I was just living my life. I was trying to give my ex-boyfriend closure, so I held off for 2 weeks, and then we hung out, and we hung out after one night. He was working at the bar that me and my friends were at, and I went home. He got off work, picked me up, we went to the beach. We were just like stargazing, talking, getting to know each other, and then we skinny dipped. Yeah, it was really cool though because there were so many bioluminescence that night. Also, the brush that I used for my blush is It Brushes for Ulta in C4203 is the number. So when we were swimming, as we would swim, it would light up. And then I was like drunk. He wasn't. He was sober. So I went under the water. I was like, open your eyes. Open your eyes. You can see the bioluminescence. Why would you do that? But it was a really cool experience. Now's the time where I'm going to go in with all my powders. I use the Dibs Vanilla Latte Baked Bronzer Duo. And I'm just going to basically bronze all the areas that I put my contour on just to set my bronzer nicely. The next question is, biggest lie you've ever told? I'm trying to think of lies that I've told. I feel like it's hard to think of on the spot lies. The one that comes to mind is when me and my ex-boyfriend were broken up for about 2 months. I was hooking up with this guy. And when me and my ex-boyfriend got back together, which we never actually got back together fully. It's so hard to explain. But basically, we broke up. I broke up with him for like 2 or 3 months. Then when he came back, when school was about to start, we had a conversation. He begged me to have a conversation with him, like closure talk. So I was like, okay. And then he convinced me to get back together with him. But he never actually officially asked me out again. So we were never fully back together, but we were back together. Does that make sense? And then like 2 days later, some girl told him that I was hooking up with this guy. And he asked me, and I said, no. I lied. And I said, no, I didn't. Which, why does it matter? I knew he was going to be mad. But like, we were broken up, and I was like fully ready to not be back together with him ever again. I was never going to speak to him again. So yeah, I just wanted to ignore all that drama. So I was like, no, that's not true. But then after a couple of days, I was like, okay, fine. Yep, I hooked up with him multiple times. What do you want from me? Okay, after the bronzer, I go in with this Revolution powder blush. It's my favorite blush of all time. It's gonna last me forever because it's so pigmented, and the shade is Rose Kiss. I'm just gonna go in and set my face. I put a little bit too much blush blush on so that when it runs off, it looks good. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta look a little crazy for like an hour, and then it will look amazing for the rest of the night. But yeah, that's probably the biggest lie I've ever told. Actually, I don't know if that's the biggest lie I've ever told, but that's the one that comes to mind, so that's the one I'm gonna tell you guys. It definitely got me into a lot of shit and a lot of drama. My favorite part, and I feel like the part that really just smooths everything out and pulls everything together, is setting powder. I use the e.l.f. Halo Glow setting powder. This is in the shade Light. And then I have this little nice triangle brush. It's Sonia Kashuk. I'm not really sure if I pronounced that right, but I got it from Target a long time ago. I've used it for so long. The next question is, have you ever had a friends with benefits situation? Yes, absolutely. In high school, I had a couple year friends with benefits situation with this guy that I was in love with, for lack of a better word. Actually, I think I had two friends with benefits at the same time, but one of them I was in love with, and the other one was in love with me, but I was in love with him. But I was friends with benefits with this guy in high school, the one that I was in love with. He wanted nothing to do with me, basically. Like, we were friends, really good friends. Not really good friends, but we were definitely friends. But for the most part, yeah, he wanted nothing to do with me. But then we were friends with benefits for a couple years. He would be in and out of relationships. I never got into relationships other than one in high school, so I pretty much was free balling. One summer when I came home from school in college, and I was broken up with my boyfriend from college yet again. Yes, I hooked up with many a people when we were broken up. Like, every time we were broken up, which it sounds bad. The situation that I was in, it wasn't bad because we were so toxic and we should not have been getting back together. But I was home for the summer and I broke up with my boyfriend because I had found him talking to his ex on Snapchat. I was on a party bus with all my friends from high school and I logged into my boyfriend's Snapchat. I saw that he was Snapchatting his ex and he had changed her name on Snapchat to a different name so that I didn't know. But I looked into the messages and I saw that it was his ex. So then I broke up with him. And then I hooked up with my friends with benefits from high school that I was in love with. And then that happened a couple more times throughout my college years. I mean, even so much as like a couple years ago when I was going through my breakup, like 3 years ago, I was going to go visit him in the state that he lived in. I wanted everything to do with him. In high school, he wanted nothing to do with me. But then after high school, he definitely started to be like more interested. But obviously, I lived in Florida. He lived in Iowa, and then he lived in a different state, and it was obviously never going to work. Probably had two friends with benefits situations. That was like, we are friends with benefits, and that's it. I could definitely count other people that we were probably just friends with benefits, but I definitely liked them, and they were friends with benefits with me. You know what I mean? So I kind of just let that powder sit a little bit. Then I brush it all off with the powder brush. And I just love the way that it brightens everything up. It pulls everything together, smooths everything out, and it really helps the makeup stay too. And then I curled my eyelashes with this BL Blink eyelash curler. This is what it looks like. It literally looks like I'm going to come in your coochie and like stretch it out like a gynecologist, but it's so much better for me. I just like the way that it like feels more safe. The next step is I go in with this lip stain. I think it's Palladio and the shade is Mocha. And I'll just line my lips with this to clean up the previous lip stain that I put on. I slightly overline, but just very little. And usually only on the cupid's bow in the middle part of my lip down here. And I'll go in with my finger and just blend it out so it's not a super harsh line. This fades just a little bit, but it is a lip stain, so it stays for a really long time. The next question is most scandalous place you've done something intimate. I'm gonna drink for that one actually because it's low-key embarrassing. There are many places. That's what I'll leave it at. Okay, now I'm gonna go in with my Maybelline Sky High, and this is in the shade Cosmic Black. The next question is what's a fear you've never told anyone about? And let me just think about that for a second because I feel like I don't really not tell people about stuff. I have very limited things that I keep in this old brain of mine. Most of it comes out of this little mouth. I guess I'll drink to that one because I actually can't think of anything. So I'm going to go in with this e.l.f. lip oil that is actually drier than a bone, but I'm going to try to get whatever I can possibly get out of it. And the last question that I'm going to answer says, do you still hold a grudge against your boyfriend for breaking up with you? And let me tell you, I did for a long time, but it has been 3 years since we got back together. I think he's earned it to not have a grudge held against him. I'll still make a joke with him a little bit about it here and there sometimes. But other than that, no. I did for a while though, because, and I knew I would. I knew that I would have a really hard time getting over it because I'm a very big overthinker. But I think with my mental health journey, just getting better and better and being medicated and trying to figure out things that work for me, I've gotten a lot better at handling those things in my brain that usually are like a broken record. Also, I'm gonna use this, my highlighter broke, which I'm so sad, but I use the L'Oreal Infallible highlighter, and this is in the shade Champagne, and I'm just gonna put it on my nose mostly and like maybe a little bit on my eyes, but I like to put it like up on my nose so that it gives me a nice little upturned vision, and a little bit on my bridge, and then in my corners of my eyes. I have no idea what I'm gonna wear, actually not a clue. These are the last couple things I'll do. I'm gonna spray my face with Power Grip Dewy Setting Spray from e.l.f., of course. This spray is a little bit weird. I don't know what happened to it, but I want to set my face and make sure everything stays. I'm gonna go in with this cream brush and kind of like blend it out. I'll go back in with a little powder, but this time just on the end of my brush. And I'll just glaze over my face a little bit. Last thing I'm gonna do is put on more blush, which you might think I'm crazy for, okay? But like I said, you gotta look a little crazy and then it will look so much better. So that is the full makeup routine. That's pretty much what I do every time I get ready, but usually I don't get ready every single day. I gotta do my hair now. But I love you guys so much. Thanks for watching. I hope I spilled some tea in this episode. Why do I keep saying episode? I hope I spilled some tea in this video because this is going on my vlog channel. And I love you guys. And I'll talk to you later. Alligator. Bye. Love you.